And it has been nearly 2 months since Joe Fields took over the athletic department over at New Mexico State University. Fields was introduced last month following a national search that spanned 9 months after Mario Mocho was let go in January. Fields, a former Division I athlete himself, joins NMSU after a year at Tulsa. Before that, he was over at Texas A&M, where he served in multiple roles. And joining us now is the Director of Athletics at New Mexico State University, Mr. Joe Fields. Joe, thank you so much for coming on the program. Tell us, you've been at it now for a couple of months. What has emerged as your top priority in that time?
Yeah, Andy, thanks for having me on. And certainly still figuring out things here and evaluating everything. But probably I would say what has immediately jumped to top of the list is our player benefit package. You know, since post-House case, we're able to provide our student athletes so many more benefits. And so for me, I want to be able to provide them more scholarships, more rev share opportunities, nutrition, travel. There's so many things now that we can do in this space to provide a better experience for our student athletes, but also to allow us to recruit and retain student athletes at a level we have not been able to in the past. And so while everything is important and we're still trying to prioritize everything, the highest priority will be given to our ability to provide our student athletes a better player benefits moving forward.
And the landscape, of course, of college athletics has changed dramatically. Even in just the past couple of years, it has made it even tougher for athletic departments like New Mexico State, not only to succeed on the field, but also just to survive. What is your vision for the athletic department, and what does that look like in today's world of college athletics, where the odds kind of stacked against athletic departments like a New Mexico State?
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly not stacked in our favor, but I think the opportunities are how we view them. I think for us, we're concentrating on the things that we know we can really control, and that's graduate our student athletes, win championships, operate a first-class organization. We know that no matter what happens, what changes, we want to graduate as student athletes, and we want that to be the focal point of everything that we do here at New Mexico State. And then, two, we want to win championships relative to our level and our conference. We're not getting caught up in you know, what people say we can and cannot do. Our goals and our standards will be to win championships. And I think it's my job as the athletics director to figure out how to provide our teams an opportunity to do that. And then obviously we want to operate a first-class organization. We want our community, our university, we want the state to be proud of our athletics department, our student athletes, and how we operate. And so while things within the college athletics landscape is changing and evolving, that's going to be our anchor. We're going to anchor to education. We're going to anchor to winning championships and operating a first-class organization here at New Mexico State in New Mexico State Athletics.
And of course, while the landscape has changed with conference realignment, NIL, the transfer portal, just to name a few, one thing has remained pretty consistent, and that's that you have revenue sports and you have non-revenue sports. At New Mexico State, those revenue sports include football and men's basketball, and even those margins, certain years, those can be slim. How do you create additional revenue streams to keep up with athletic departments who have more to work with? Essentially, you want to do more with less. How is that achievable?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we're turning over every stone here. And so if you have ideas, please email them to me. I'm open to everything. And so we're looking at how we operate our business a little differently. We need to modernize. There's some of our corporate sponsors and corporate partners are willing to engage us like they've never been willing to engage us before with the new rules. And so we got to make sure that we're doing a good job of taking care of those opportunities. But also, too, we have great venues here that we're not exactly filling up right now, the Pan Am, Aggie Memorial Stadium. How do we get more fans into the stadium to obviously generate more revenue, but create a more festive atmospheres for our student athletes? And so we're going to explore everything. We're looking at corporate sponsors, business opportunities. We want to maximize some of the things that we currently have in place. We want to push those things to another level, and then we got to be creative. You know, and we're going to, in a couple weeks, we're going to play our last football game and enlarge. Our football stadium is going to sit stagnant until next football season. So there are opportunities that now we can look at to do more in our football arenas, football stadiums that will generate more revenue. concert series? Can we bring other folks in here to help us do other things? And so we're open to everything. We're gonna vet out and explore and do our research on all opportunities. Obviously, we won't be able to do everything, but we're gonna turn every stone in efforts to generate more revenue, to go back to kind of what I hit on first, to provide our student athletes a better experience and better opportunities.
You got a big rivalry game coming up on Saturday in El Paso. NMSU, UTEP, I'm sure your evaluation of coaches is different than previous leadership, and oftentimes we see a new athletic director come in who's eager to bring in their own coaches. What is your evaluation process for a coach, especially for the big revenue sports like football, where you have certainly a lot of eyeballs on the sport and also a lot of opinions?
Yeah, for sure. We can't make any knee-jerk reactions. The greatest gift I can receive as an athletics director is having great coaches in place. And so I want to give all of our coaches an opportunity to be successful here. That makes my job a lot easier. If I don't got to move on from coaches, I don't have to pay buyouts and all of those things. And so I truly want to make sure I'm giving all of our coaches an opportunity to be successful. And so that's a couple ways we look at it. Are we making the proper investments to match the expectations, right? Are we winning? Are we wanting our coach to win championships, but we're not providing them championship resources? And so we got to first take a look at those pieces, and then ultimately we got to decide if they're coaching at a really high level. Are we administrating at a really high level? Is our athletics department set up to support those programs at the level that we need to support them at to win championships? Like the college landscape is changing. Our coaches' jobs are harder than ever. They have the traditional issues of going out, recruiting, developing, winning games, and now with the transfer portal, NIL, we're asking them to be general managers, CEOs, fundraisers. We're asking a lot of them. And so as an administration, as an athletics department, we got to make sure that we're doing all we can to do our parts to give our coaches an opportunity to be successful and win games.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about rivalries, which for some reason they're being forgotten by a lot of different athletic departments across the country for various reasons. At New Mexico State, we just saw that big win over the Lobos in basketball. However, that rivalry has gone from a home and home every year to just one meeting a season in football. This could be the last weekend, the last time we see the Battle of I-10 that is played in this decade. What is your position on getting those games back?
Yeah, we got to play those guys as much as we possibly can. Those rivalries are important for college athletics. They're important for our communities, our campuses, the state of New Mexico. Obviously, border states like Texas and UTEP and what we do here, they're important, and we want to play them as often as we possibly can. Obviously, there's things we got to work through from a scheduling, logistics standpoint. They're changing conferences. We got to make sure that we're filling out our schedule in a way that's competitive and makes sense to us, and they have to do the same. But Jim and I have had conversations. Fernando and I will have conversations. As much as I can possibly play those games, as much as we can give our communities the opportunity to see the Aggies and the Miners and the Aggies and the Lobos and everybody face off, I think it's good for everybody involved.
Joe, thank you for taking the time with us here tonight, giving our viewers a little bit of a better vision, your vision of the New Mexico State Athletic Department. Again, we appreciate your time on the program.
Thank you for having me, Andy.
All right, that is Joe Fields, the Director of Athletics over at New Mexico State University.